Brett Tolman is a former U.S. attorney and now executive director at Right on Crime. It's great to have you with us.
Brett.
As we get underway, the cross-examination of Costello about to get underway. Your thoughts on his testimony yesterday and any observations about the tussle he had with the judge?
Yeah, Dana, I found it quite interesting. What you see is a real stark contrast between a judge that seemed far more relaxed and allowing incredible amounts of irrelevant and unfairly prejudicial testimony through Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, to then contrast that to the handcuffing that I think he was doing to the defense's witnesses is exactly opposite of what, my 25 years I've seen judges do. They typically err on the side of allowing the defense great latitude to bring in evidence, even if they find it to be irrelevant, so that they don't risk a conviction on appeal, and they also don't look like they're trying to shut down the defense team. Here, we have something that you rarely see in this judge and the interaction, especially with Costello.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I don't know if this happens. I don't know if judges are this offended. Maybe they are. But Dana and I read a few lines a moment ago. Costello said, "Can I say something, please?" This is when the jury's out of the room. "Can I say something, please?" No, this is not a conversation. Is that usually the way it works?
Bill, by the way, you weren't bad actors. I thought you did a fine job with your lines. But I will tell you, judges, every now and then you run across a judge that has some insecurity, ego-driven. They control the courtroom. If they're ever challenged, it's interesting to see their reaction. And here, I think he has something personally at stake in wanting to show that he's running a good trial. But more than that, I think he wants to see Donald Trump convicted. So then you add all that up. And look, I've never seen an objection sustained so quickly. You didn't even get the question out multiple times, and the objection was sustained. That's why Costello said, geez, audibly in the courtroom, because you do not see that. And practicing in courtrooms, what you see is the opposite. Judges attempting to show a good bench demeanor and an appropriateness and a decorum about them. That was all lost here. The jury saw most of that. And it'll be interesting what their takeaway is.
I want to ask the controller, I'm going to pull up call for ASAT X12, please. This is Trey Gowdy. So Trey Gowdy was in the courtroom yesterday, and he had an observation of the very thing that you are talking about. He was on Fox and Friends this morning. Listen here.
I don't mind if the strike zone is low. I don't mind if the strike zone is high, but it needs to be the same for both teams. I have rarely seen a more pro-prosecution judge. The exact same question the defense asked. There was an objection. It was sustained. The prosecution asked, and the objection was overruled. The defense has a mountain to overcome with this judge.
Trey Gowdy is one of the most even-keeled, fair-minded people that I know. And if he's saying that, I'm wondering, Brett, if you think that the jury is seeing something similar.
I think they are. Even the jurors who are not attorneys are in there and they see human reaction and they see a judge getting hot, being upset. Think about the threatening. This judge threatened, Dana, to strike the transcript of relevant admitted testimony by Costello. Not only is that not ever done, I don't think it's legal. Once the testimony has come in, it's deemed to have been reliable or relevant, and it's admissible. He threatened to strike that because he was angry at the witness and angry at the comments. And that's what Trey is talking about. It's an overt reaction by a judge to place himself on the scales of justice. This judge is trying to do that. And it should be offensive to a lawyer like Costello or to lawyers that are watching it, but to anybody, especially those in the jury that are watching this case live.
Brett, we are learning right now from Lydia Hu in the overflow room about this Brad Smith fellow who used to work for the FEC. And we all thought that he would be a witness, and apparently that all fell apart yesterday. So he just sent out a big thread on X, and I just read one of them for you. This is number 6. He talks about what we were going to testify to. We were going to go over the reporting schedules showing that even if they thought it was a campaign expenditure to be reported, an expenditure made on October 27th, that would have been 2016, when money is sent to Stormy Daniels' attorney, would not under law be reported until December 8th, a full 30 days after the election. Can you make sense of that and how that would be relevant, and maybe give us an explanation as to why look, if you're going to be charged for campaign violations and the defendant wants to call somebody up there and testify to how this works, and based on all of our understanding, federal election law is very complicated, and you would need an expert witness to take the jury through this, why would he not be allowed to tell that story?
Well, Bill, judges typically do not like anyone taking the stand that is going to try to explain the law. It is explicitly the role of the judge to explain the law to the jurors. But what you highlighted is different. What you highlighted is an analysis of the facts of this particular case, the dates involving reporting, the payment itself, and whether it aligns up with the theory of the case. Now, that is not necessarily someone taking the stand and analyzing the law. Instead, it's actually testifying that the statute doesn't apply if these are the facts. The jury can then decide if they're accurate on what the facts are and the reporting dates, but that should have been allowed. It's another obvious effort by the judge to prevent the defense from putting forth its best case. And look, if you don't care about the appeal and upholding the conviction, then this is what you'll get. You'll get a judge that's very activist and placing his hand again on the scales of justice.
Brett Tolman, thank you so much, and love that you're there in that beautiful state of Utah with that great background. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brett. It is coming up on